All right. In today's episode, I have a very interesting entrepreneur with me today. Her name's Karen Onuma, and she is the COO of GlobalDeal, a company that helps companies expand globally into foreign markets. Karen, welcome to the show.
Hi, Lean.
Absolutely. So we met at this event, I think it was last week, right? About digital marketing. But I think before that, you had come to one of my workshops about like networking skills and things like that, right? How important is it for in your mind, right, for people to have these type of skills, right? These networking skills.
I think it depends a lot on the type of business as well,
Yeah.
but especially when you are just getting started, it's really important to network and to connect with different people. You often don't expect how one single connection that you made, it might have been just by coincidence, can really help you get a lot further. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think networking is really important.
Yeah, especially in your line of work, right, where you're helping like companies expand to foreign markets. You never know what could happen in terms of connections, right? So before we dive into that, what I want to get from you is your story and how you got into this.
Okay, sure. So let's start with where I originally come from. So yeah, I moved to Tokyo around almost 7 years ago. But before that, I was actually in Germany. So I was born in Germany. I grew up there. I'm half German, half Japanese. So I used to go to a regular German school, and then on Saturdays I would visit a Japanese school. I also visited Japanese schools during my school holidays in Germany. So during school holidays in Germany, I would go to Japan and go to school there.
Wow. Lots of school for you growing up.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that as a child I didn't really enjoy that much. But now I really am grateful to my parents because it's quite a unique experience that, yeah, I could otherwise not have had.
Absolutely, So yeah, I think that, you're also biracial. I am as well. And I think having that mixed, ba parents and backgrounds brings a whole different perspective to things, right? I think, what is it? I saw on your LinkedIn profile you speak 5 languages, is that correct?
Wait, five? No. It's German, Japanese, English, and then Spanish.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. That's really cool. Being able to learn that at such a young age, it really opens your mind and it's coming into use now. You're able to speak English, Japanese, and German as well right now. So, yeah, how did you get into entrepreneurship?
It kind of starts actually with my university thesis. So I wrote my thesis about the potential of information and communication technologies for improving education in low and middle income countries. And while doing this research, I saw that very often well-meant projects fail because of bad planning. It's often things like cultural aspects or infrastructure in the sense of electricity or internet, or any other aspects in the target environment are just not taken into consideration. And the thing is that all the information that is required in order to make a project like that succeed exists, but there's some kind of mismatch, and that information just doesn't get to where it's needed.
Hmm.
And I always thought there must be a way to solve this.
Mm.
But yeah, it was just some kind of idea that was in the back of my head. And after finishing university, that's when I moved to Japan. Yeah, I just first started doing digital marketing in agencies and then also on the corporate side. And then at some point, I felt like, okay, now is the time I want to do something about that idea that I've had for so long. So I started looking for some technical person who could help me build this platform that I had in mind. Yeah, and that's how I met my co-founder. When we met, we talked about my idea, and then it turned out he also actually had already something that he was working on
Mm.
and that he wanted me to help him build.
Mm.
And I just saw our potential to weave both of our ideas together. Yeah, and so that's what we did. and that's how I got started with GlobalDeal.
Wow. Yeah, it's a big leap, going from, having a corporate job, working in like that digital marketing space to being an entrepreneur. How's it been so far for you? What are some of the challenges you've gone through?
One big difference is that how to say it's more insecure in the sense that if you're working for a company, no matter what happens, you know that your salary will just keep coming, and it's very safe, especially in Japan.
Mhm.
Unless you do something really bad, you don't lose your job. But if you're trying to build a company, well, if things don't go well, it can be over.
Yep.
But on the other hand, I also think that this shouldn't be a reason not to start, because if you ask yourself what's the worst thing that can happen, well, I think the worst thing that can happen is that you spend some time and maybe also money, if you invested yourself, to get incredible experience that you otherwise wouldn't have had. And
Yes.
especially if you live in a big city like Tokyo, if you fail with whatever you were trying to do, you can just go back to a normal job. So
That is true. That is true. I think the biggest failure is not trying at all, right? Like
exactly.
if you have a beautiful idea in your mind and you don't see it through, you'll live with regret for not doing it. So many people, when they get to that age, they're, 70s, 80s, they wish that they started that business or they did something that they wanted deep down inside to do. And I love the fact that you decided to do it. And yeah, I mean, what are some things that you've learned so far with some of the challenges you've gone through or some of the failures you've had?
Yeah, one of the, how to say, like an advice that I would give to anyone: don't wait for the right timing to start, because what is the right timing?
Hmm.
I mean, for myself, I waited for years to get started, and I don't think that there was a good reason to wait. And then maybe the only thing that is important is that before you get started, make sure that you have enough savings.
Mm,
If you will not be making money in the beginning, so make sure that you have enough savings to survive for a while, and then also start on the side first. I think people often underestimate how much time they actually have, because you come back from work, you are tired, then it's weekend, you want to just relax. But actually, you could also use that time to start something on the side. And once before you start, you might think, no, you don't have time, you're busy all the time. But once you actually start, you will realize, yes, you do have a lot of time.
I forget the exact number, but it's like there's 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, whatever that is. Like you should, I'm sure that we have enough time within that window to build something on the side,
Yeah,
whether it be just a quick MVP or it could be a survey to test the demand, right? Like we can do something if you're passionate about it. And I think that's what it is. A lot of people don't know how to channel their passion into motivation or into, direction.
yeah.
So my question for you is why are you so passionate about this problem in particular?
Yeah, I think as I mentioned, like the base idea came from reading all the research paper at university, seeing that there was this problem that I was sure it can be solved, and that it can be solved with technology. And then after meeting my co-founder Kevin and discussing his idea, which was just using AI to help companies expand globally, I saw that if we can combine both of our ideas, it has the potential to become something really big.
Mm,
Because there are, for example, a lot of really great innovative startups. For example, in Kenya, Kenya has a lot of innovative startups
mm,
that are solving issues like in the health tech industry, or also renewable energy. And they are solving issues locally,
mm,
but they are too small to try to expand globally.
mm-hmm,
But if those companies had the means to enter other markets as well, that impact that they could have is just so huge. And so, yeah, what we're trying to do at GlobalDeal is to leverage AI to, well, kind of replace consultants and lawyers that are just too expensive for smaller companies, and also to speed up the process.
I think there's a lot of paperwork involved with a lot of things, right? Cross-border, and AI agents could definitely solve that. I feel like a lot of jobs are going to be replaced by AI, in the coming years. Which, other than lawyers and other than like, accountants, things like that, what are some things that you think your solution might be able to help people do faster?
The problems that we are helping with is, first of all, research in order to understand the market opportunities,
Mm,
and just to give you an overview of your target market. And then based on that, our tool can help you determine the best go-to-market strategy based on your business goals. And then also, one of the most important things in the beginning when you just get started entering a foreign market is to identify the key persons in the target market. So you will need some kind of local business partners, and many companies that have reached out to us just don't know how to find those companies or people. And so that's something that our AI tool can also help with.
mm.
Yeah, and then, as I mentioned, guidance on local regulations and compliance. This is quite a big issue, and it's also quite challenging because depending on the industry, there can be so many bottlenecks. Like, are there any local certifications required
Mhm.
that are different in every single country? Is there anything about clearance for key components that you need to take into consideration? So yeah, that's one of the big issues.
Yeah, I think, there's so many moving parts when you want to expand globally. And one of the things that's so popular here, especially in Japan, is localization. You coming from the digital marketing space, right? You must know this, like how different like Japanese marketing is compared to Western marketing, right? What are some of the challenges when it comes to expanding globally in terms of localization?
Yeah, so that's actually also something that we are working on. Um, so something that people often ask us is, how is our solution Global Deal Automation different to LMMs, and how like, why do we think that, for example, ChatGPT, like the next generation, cannot replace what we are trying to do?
Mm,
And the thing is that those generic AI tools, they have a lot of wide knowledge because they have access to so much information on the internet. But the problem is that they cannot really differentiate correct information from incorrect information and fake news and things like that. And so it's kind of random what
mm,
the information that it is fed with. It's kind of random. And so we are using information that is verified. Like, we are making sure that the data sources that we use is actually correct and really high quality information. Also, one difference to generic AI is that our tool can help with task execution, and that's where localization also comes in, because those generic AI tools cannot execute any task, but
mm,
our tool can help you with, for example, applications for local industry events that might have to be done in the local language, or also localization. So you need to understand how your product or service needs to be adapted to the local environment in order to resonate with your target audience. Or maybe it's about regulations that require you to change your product. I just recently talked to someone from a gaming company, and when they expanded to, for example, China, they had the issue that there are so many regulations about words that you can use in a title, or if you can show blood, or maybe you have to make it blue, then you're allowed to use it, and things like that. And food, in the food industry, for example, it can be something as simple as just the climate.
mm,
Like, as you know, Japan is really humid and warm. And if you
mhm.
would use the same recipe for your chocolate that you have in somewhere in Europe, it would just melt.
Yep,
So
that's
I
true.
have to adjust the recipe as well.
Wow. So you're actually focusing on like pretty agnostic in terms of client base. It doesn't have to be necessarily a tech product. It could be like anyone with any type of business.
So we are focusing on a few industries, especially health tech, then renewable energy, micromobility, agri-tech.
Okay.
So we are trying to focus on a few industries, um, especially because in the beginning you just need a focus
Yep.
and not go everywhere. And also because those kind of industries usually have the same issues globally. So if it is succeeding in one country, there's a high chance that it's scalable and can be useful in other countries as well.
That's true. Yeah, you got to build out the model in those test countries first, or those industries, and then move them to other countries as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, very, very interesting stuff. Which industry do you see the most challenges in?
that's difficult to say, but I think like just personally, um, the industry or the type of challenge that is most important to me is renewable energy. So with climate change and everything that's going on there, I think we need to act fast.
Hmm.
Um, and I mean, there are really a lot of great solutions everywhere. In, and so that's one of the industries that we are really focusing on now.
So, obviously AI is tremendously beneficial to humans and it's going to streamline a lot of things, but the energy output with AI is so bad for the environment. I think it's not something that's talked about a lot, or talked about enough. It's like how much energy is required power these large language models and stuff, right? What do you think the future is going to be like? Because we have these huge data centers and we do need to focus on the environment and protecting the planet. What do you think the future is going to be like in terms of that?
Well, I think there are definitely ways to make it more environmentally friendly. For example, you could use renewable energy
Mm,
to power those servers.
exactly. Yeah.
So yeah,
I heard that nuclear energy is supposed to be more clean and actually more beneficial. What are your thoughts on that?
it's clean in that sense, but it's just also risky.
Yes. Yes.
So yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
a difficult topic.
Yeah. Yeah, in the US, we're going backwards, I think. We're starting to think about coal and all this other stuff again. I'm like, what? You know? So the world is going to a very strange place at the moment. But no,
Mm.
I actually wanted to switch gears and talk to you a little bit about being a female founder, especially here in Japan. Obviously, you grew up in Germany and you have, that mixed race background, right? So you have a little bit more of a global mindset and understanding of things. But being a female founder here in Japan is few and far between. How have you gone through this challenge here in Japan? And if you can share any stories or anything that you might have.
Well, I think just looking at the numbers, yeah, definitely there are a lot more male just in the whole startup environment. Like often if I go to startup events and I look around in the room, it's 80% male. But I wouldn't really say that it's necessarily a disadvantage. And there are also, especially recently, really a lot of opportunities specifically made for female founders, like acceleration programs, for example, that are specifically meant for women. So I think when it comes to the opportunities that you have as a woman, it's definitely getting better.
In the US, I think, obviously there's opportunities for women everywhere. We really made it a focus to push for, female equality and everything like that, right? But here in Japan, I do think it is still a little bit behind in terms of that sometimes.
Mm,
And I think that there should be more effort to help women know that they can do these things and there is opportunities for them. But yeah, what do you think is in Japan specifically, some of the reasons why, they just don't seek entrepreneurship.
yeah. If we look at the mindset, I think it's just a lot more conservative in general. I mean, of course, there are also a lot of very modern thinking women. But even in our age, there are still many people, women and men, who just think in a quite traditional, conservative way.
Mm.
Um, I do know people my age who um, say that when they get married, the woman should stay at home and the husband should go work. And yeah, I was a bit surprised to learn that you still have people thinking like this, but I think that's this kind of mindset is just still more prevalent here than I guess in, for example, many European countries or also the US.
Absolutely. And, Japan is facing a population decline. It is like I think more and more women are working,
Hmm.
for companies, and hopefully, they're able to have more financial freedom on their own and more independence. But that does bring with it some downsides. Obviously, the decline in the population, not just happening here, but also in the West as well. What do you think the future of Japan's going to be like with regards to this type of thing?
It's definitely getting, I mean, startups in general. 10 years ago, it used to be something very unusual.
Mm.
Um, but it's getting more and more, I wouldn't say mainstream, but more and more accepted. And um, you also have a lot more opportunities with all acceleration programs.
Hmm.
There are a lot of communities, at least in bigger cities. And so, yes, I think it's just, especially just socially more accepted. In the
Mm.
past, yeah, it didn't, people didn't really think that, didn't think high of people who tried to start their own company. But
Yep.
now things are changing.
Yeah, it's like a very risk-averse place to live. And like it's crazy because the government it has like a big goal within the next 5 years, create like 100 different unicorns and things like that, right? But yeah, there's still a lot of things legislatively, culturally that are a little bit behind in that sense. But I do think there's been a lot of push towards entrepreneurship, which is great. I see a lot of programs in university now. See a lot of
Yes.
like, the obviously TIB, Sushi Tech
Mhm.
building. That's a great initiative from the government. So things are changing, but Japan, it's a little slow sometimes, right? You said something about accelerator program. You're currently in an accelerator program now, is that correct?
Yes, I'm in an acceleration program that's called Beyond Japan.
Hmm.
It's run by Plug and Play and Jetro together.
Nice. Is it done in English or Japanese or both?
It's done in English.
In English.
Yeah, I
Okay.
mean there are also I know of Japanese acceleration programs as well,
Mm.
but there are also a lot that are in English, and there are also a lot of programs that are aimed at Japanese startups, helping
Mm.
them to go to the US.
Hmm.
And so, for example, in group sessions, people might be speaking in Japanese because most people are Japanese, but
Right.
then the lectures themselves are actually in English.
Interesting. Yeah, yeah. My last cohort that I did at Antler, it was for Antler Japan. It was the
Mhm.
first time they ran it in English. The previous two times, I believe, were in Japanese. It's interesting here in Japan, like a lot of the sessions we had, sometimes they'd have founders come in, like Japanese founders, who would only give the session in Japanese, but then they'd have like English subtitles that were really poorly like put together and stuff. But then, yeah, we also had a few members that were only Japanese speakers. So it's very interesting. It's part of the thing that I'm trying to do. I'm trying to help in the sense of helping Japanese with their English soft skills so that they can
Mhm.
go global. How important is it, do you think, for them to kind of catch up in that sense, language-wise, and, understanding what it takes to go abroad?
I think that's very important. Um, I mean, first of all, the language aspect. You definitely need English if you want to do business with international people.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think English is a skill that definitely, even if you are not yet thinking about starting your own company, you should just definitely work on that. And then also when it comes to how to talk to non-Japanese people, not
Mhm.
just language-wise, but like just how to act,
Yes.
and like the way they talk is just very different as well.
Yes.
A lot more direct.
Yes.
And yeah, if you want the communication to be efficient,
Yeah.
you need to know these things.
100%. When I first saw the whole Meishi thing, like I had a few people just come up and business card me with it before even giving me their name. I was like, "Whoa, this is backwards." You know what I mean? I think it's you're expected to read their name on the business card.
Yeah.
So, like, oh, that's interesting. That's an interesting way. Yeah, we don't do that in the US for sure. But yeah, you bring up a good point about communication, right? Especially how different people communicate. Being, from Germany, being very direct, I think
Mm,
is a trait of,
yes.
being German in communication, right? How have you seen that adjustment or, with communicating, whether it be with your co-founder or anyone that you interact with here?
Because I grew up between both cultures, so I always talk Japanese to my mother, German to my father. I
Mm,
went to a Japanese school, and I visited Japan pretty much every year of my life.
mm,
So I kind of knew like about the Japanese culture and
yeah,
how people communicate. So in that sense, I guess it wasn't really
mm, that makes sense. Yeah.
so much of a learning. Also because when I came to Japan, I kind of gradually um, got to work with Japanese. So
Mm,
first it was a very international environment, and then gradually I started to start to work with Japanese clients as well.
mm.
And so yeah, there was no like big, how do you say, like
Big,
aha moment.
I see. No epiphany for you, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think that, me being from America, I sometimes, you get some laughs or get some like shocked expressions. Sometimes I'm giving some feedback or like, saying my opinion very directly because, yeah, in Japan, you can't say no, you can't do like certain things, right? I heard also it's kind of like a mind, like you have to like be a mind reader almost and like just kind of think what the other person is thinking.
Mind reader is good. Yeah, yeah, like you say, you read the air.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. There are a lot of these kind of things where, without directly saying things, at least among Japanese, you know what is actually meant.
Mm, still a skill that I need to learn, I think. Effectively.
Yeah, it's difficult because if you just learn Japanese, like the language,
Mm.
yeah, these kind of non-verbal cues are just not easy to get.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, I say all the time, communication is 55% body language, right? If you don't understand Japanese body language and Western body language, it could be very different. So,
Yes.
yeah, I think I need to take one of those, Japanese like, body language classes. I think. Yeah, I don't know if you've seen those, like they have like the cultural ones. Very interesting stuff. But no, yeah, Karen, I think that, what you're doing is very important because the world as we, get into the future is going to be more interconnected and more global.
Mhm.
And I think that Japan has lofty goals and ambitions, and they need people like you that are helping to facilitate that, right? So where do you see your business within the next 5 years? Like, where do you hope to be and how do you plan on getting there?
Yeah, so for now, all the things that I mentioned that GlobalDeal will be able to do, most of the things are still in development. So we are planning a lot of things, but we need to speed up on the development side, so that we can actually provide all of these services on a tool base instead of having to do it manually,
Mm.
which for many of the services that we are offering is still the case. And then also one thing that I didn't mention before was that apart from the services that we want to offer to companies, we're also planning to build a feature for government organizations.
Oh.
And so that feature is meant to help with impact forecasting in a sense of if a specific company um, starts doing business in your country, what are the impacts on things like job creation, environmental impact, or also regional development. And so by knowing what kind of impact different companies will have on your country, it can help guide national investment strategies as well.
Mm.
So yeah, this is one of the big things that we are planning to do as well.
What do you need in your business now? Is it mostly like just funding or mostly getting an MVP out there and testing it in the market? Like, what's the first thing that you guys are going to be doing?
Right now, I mean, we do get a lot of interest from especially smaller companies, but also consultancies, different agencies, also some people at JETRO. And so we want to really speed up the development side. And that comes with the need of investment. So we are trying to find investors so that we can then hire more people and really be fast, because I think with all the things that are going on with AI right now, everyone is doing AI. It's a bit of a speed game as well.
Yeah, you have to be quick in this day and age. Yeah, and money helps. Money definitely helps. Yeah,
Exactly.
investment helps. Yes. Yeah, does so in your accelerated program, is there investment at the end, or do they have a network of investors they can introduce you to? How does
Yeah,
that?
it's more about the network. So there are sessions like lectures where you learn a lot of strategic things that you can then actually also just apply on whatever you're doing right now. And then it's a lot about the network. So you get access to mentors. And for the second part of the program, they send you to the US as well.
Hmm.
So LA and Silicon Valley. And there you will also get support with connecting to potential investors.
Hmm. Exciting. Have you ever been there or no?
Not yet.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I think you're gonna really enjoy it. Silicon Valley is really buzzing with, energy, with all the startup stuff. Also super competitive over there, but
Yes.
you're gonna be visiting, so it should be good. Yeah. I think a lot of companies want to actually do business, especially investors. They want to invest in Japanese startups, but then one of the main barriers, like we had said before, is English and then also the
Mm,
global mindset.
yeah.
So they have somebody like you who, can speak, both languages, comes from a global background, has a global mindset. I think, that's going to help them a lot. So really, really cool stuff. So Karen, we talked a lot about your business, talked about a lot about the problem that you're solving. Is there anything that we didn't talk about that you think we should have talked about?
I got to talk about how I got into this, what we are doing. So yeah, I think it was a really interesting conversation.
Absolutely, absolutely. And hopefully, your chat today will also help inspire a lot of other female entrepreneurs. All right.
Mhm,
So, Karen, we have a closing tradition on this podcast where the last
mhm.
guest has questions for you, and you'll leave a question for the next guest. Are you ready for your question?
Yes.
All right, cool. So, what's been the biggest leadership challenge in your career or in your experience? And if you got it wrong, how did you solve it? And if you got it right, how did you get there?
When I was working for companies, I was, I mean, post-COVID, I was all for remote work. So for me, apart from when we had to meet for brainstorming sessions or very important meetings, I didn't really see a good reason to ask people to go to the office, especially because, at least for me personally, I'm more productive at home. But now, as I'm working mainly with a remote team, I see how difficult it is to manage people remotely, especially if you're working with people who don't have so much experience yet.
Mhm.
I guess it's different if you work with people who have a lot of experience. You just have to tell them what to do, and they just deliver what they were asked to. But if you're working with more inexperienced people, you have to constantly be looking on the output and cannot really just trust that if in the beginning they were working well, that level of performance will just stay the same. And also, this might be a bit specific for startups, but for us, things keep changing very fast, and there are new updates all the time. So even more than on a weekly level. and it's difficult to keep everyone updated and all of these changes if people are remote. And yeah, so it's just a bit difficult to do all of that remotely. And of course, you could do remote all hands meetings
Mhm.
on a regular basis, but the reality is just that it's challenging because we all have meetings on different times. Then, specifically for our business, we are often on business trips,
Mm.
and that then comes with time zone differences. And because of that, we are now thinking that going forward, so for new hires, we want to focus a bit more on in person because, as at least in the beginning, this will probably be the better approach.
Mm. Wait, so how big's your team?
For now, we are 7 people,
Oh, wow. Okay.
um, and apart from my co-founder Kevin and me, so we are both in Tokyo, but the rest of the team is remote.
Oh, wow. From all over the place, huh?
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. Yeah. I mean, as the COO, you're the main person managing that entire operation, and it's a lot of moving parts, like making sure the quality is great across everybody, especially new hires, must be really challenging. How would you describe your leadership style?
My leadership style. Well, I think, I mean, the feedback that I've gotten so far from people that I've worked with is that they value that I give quite clear instructions and check in with them all the time, and that they know they can get the support that they need. So I think it's just about open communication, um, and communicating that if anything is needed, they can ask anytime. I think that's important.
You have a open door policy, but since there's no office, it's not really a door. It's like open
It's
laptop.
an open Slack channel.
Well, that's good. Yeah, I think that's very important. Communication is key. Setting expectations from the beginning and holding people accountable, all very important, but communicating in a way that's respectful and yeah, motivating. So great
Yeah.
stuff, Karen. Yeah, so now it's your turn to ask a question for the next guest.
So my question is, especially in the initial phase, when you just start building your company, everyone has their own learnings on how to best run the business. And my question would be, what was your learning with the biggest impact on how you run your business today?
Oh, very, very interesting. That is definitely something that people need to reflect on because it could be a repetitive mistake that they keep making, right? If we don't think about some of the early learnings we've made, then we might be making that mistake further and further. I know I did at Antler 3 times. That's why I failed each time. But yeah, I really appreciate your time today, Karen. It was a great discussion. And where can people find you? Is LinkedIn the best way?
On LinkedIn, my name is Karen Onuma and then Mielke.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's my Japanese and my German family name together.
Nice, excellent. I'll link that in the description below and Global Deal's website I'll also put there. I'm sure, anyone who's listening from this abroad will be interested in chatting to you about potentially coming to Japan or expanding to another market. So hopefully, yeah, they can reach out to you and get some questions answered. Thank you so much, Karen, for your time.
Thank you too.
That's a wrap for this episode of the Product Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a like and subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Spotify, or leave a review on Apple Podcasts. It really helps this channel grow. And if you are a product manager or a startup founder who wants to share your story or some of the struggles that you've gone through in your career, then definitely reach out to us. We'd love to have you on. And until next time, happy building, everyone.